And all of this, of course, found its way into the next presidential election, that of 1800, when, by the behest of my political platform, I stood to oppose my own president, my own friend. We referred to our political platform as the Anti-Federalist, as the Democratical Republicans, or simply as the Republicans. But what I have always preferred is simply the recognition that we are the spirit of '76, that we have not forgotten those principles over which we fought our revolution and have installed a new world order. Well, we were not alone. Our nation was so divided and divisive that two others were standing in contention for that high office. President Adams' Federalist Party was divided by a Southern Federalist, a hero of our revolution, General Charles Colesworth Pinckney from South Carolina. Even my own Anti-Federalist Party was divided by a former Federalist from New York. Oh, he saw a political opportunity, so he changed his party. As we say, he changed his coat. He became a renegade. Do you know of whom I speak? Aaron Burr. And when the electors went to cast their votes that autumn of 1800, what did we observe, sir? That President Adams was defeated. Defeated, and yet the result was not an immediate victory. In fact, the result was a tie. Not between General Pinckney or his opposer, but no, a tie between two anti-federalists. 73 electoral votes each for Aaron Burr and Thomas Jefferson. And for many, many weeks, the United States of America did not know who would be the next president. Now, can you ever imagine that happening in our history again? Well, it was only 7 years ago, was it not? But, sir, we followed our Constitution. We followed our Constitution, which pronounces directly that whenever there is a dispute, an inconsistency, or a stalemate in presidential election, then the Constitution announces the election should go where? Where? Where does the election go in our Constitution? The House of Representatives. Do you know this gentleman just said it should go to the Supreme Court? Oh, sir. Well, we have one Federalist here this evening. No, but sir, we followed our Constitution and we witnessed a great compromise. A great compromise indeed. Do you know, after 33 ballots, the House of Representatives had not broken that tie. And of all people, Secretary Hamilton, greatly exasperated, came to visit me. And I share with you, as I have not mentioned it before, Secretary Hamilton intimated to me that he disliked Aaron Burr more than he did me. And therefore provided the support of his own state of New York in my political arena, which I graciously accepted. 3 ballots later, on the 36th ballot, on the 17th of February, 1801, the tie was finally broken, and I ascended to the office of Third Chief Magistrate. Sir, I wish you to know this. Both President Adams and I realized something most remarkable, that we had just witnessed the Second American Revolution. Oh, we had overthrown our government, have we not? Oh, yes, it was as much a revolution of the principles of this nation as that of 1776 was in its form. And yet I hope we never forget the remarkable difference between those two revolutions. Would you know, sir, between the revolution of 76 and that of 1800? Thank you, sir. 7 years ago, not a firelock was raised nor blood was shed in the peaceable transfer of government. Where has that ever happened in the history of any nation? Most remarkable indeed, an example of civilized man and what he considers the best of all possible governments as yet. No, even our old enemy England had printed in their newspapers, from what we are hearing of the example in the United States, the result of this presidential election, perhaps the American experiment of self-government may survive. Do you know, I decided to visit the president. Oh, I was worried about it, realizing that he would not be the next chief magistrate. I worried if I were too long, it would show him that I was uncaring. I worried that if I were too immediate, it would show that I was overzealous. But no, I paid him a visit in the president's house. Do you know how he received me? With a hand clasp. My own fashion. And we sat down and we had a conversation for many hours, realizing that we were but victims of political schism. That two other gentlemen could have been standing in our shoes and fallen victim as well. And we realized that as Americans, no difference of opinion in either politics or religion should come between true friends to their great affection and neglect. And furthermore, as I said, as Americans, that a difference of opinion is not a difference of principle. We took leave with a hand clasp, looking forward to our next meeting, which I lament to inform you has not yet occurred. During those last few weeks that the Federalists had in office, they ushered through the Federal Judiciary Act of 1801, creating 16 new federal judicial districts for each of our 16 states, and then, as I've come to realize it, imposing upon their chief magistrate to appoint judges of the Federalist political opinion. Can you imagine our nation suffering the appointment of judges based upon political opinion? That has ever angered me and provoked me, right up to the midnight hour that he was in office, as I have continued to call them, the midnight appointments. President Adams knew I was greatly provoked and angered by this. He took leave of Washington on the day of my inauguration at 4:30 in the morning. I've not heard from him since. As I said, sir, I look forward to our reconvening in correspondence, and particularly the opportunity to meet him. And I wish you to know this. Last year, 1806, our mutual friend, Dr. Benjamin Rush of Philadelphia, wrote the two of us a letter in which he recounted a conversation he had with his son, Richard Rush, who came down to breakfast one morning, remarking to his father that he had the most phantasmagorical dream the evening before. He dreamt that he was walking down the street in Philadelphia when he saw both President Jefferson and ex-President Adams approaching one another from opposite directions. They had not yet seen one another. They were gazing upon the flagstones. He wondered what would happen when they looked up to see the other before them. And he said that when it did occur, they were within but an arm's length, and without hesitation lifted their hands to one another in a very warm and agreeable hand clasp, then turned about in the same direction without reflection and walked forward together. And he said, Father, what is so curious about this dream is the fact that within but a few moments of it, and without any change of scene, I saw them fade into the distance with the recognition that they would die on the very same day, the 4th of July. I share that with you. I have done so only with a few friends. I call it simply Rush's dream. So I hope that indeed the prophets of our future are in the wisdom of our past. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jefferson, you are an avid reader, and of course you must also read a lot of poetry. But you are not so fond of the poetry of Phyllis Wheatley. Could you explain to us why? Especially since George Washington was pretty fond of the piece that she wrote.
That is correct. The lady has pronounced a reflection upon the poetry of Phyllis Wheatley, the African slave, as you know, who was looked upon as being quite adept at literature and writing, composition of poetry. And she remarks that Phyllis Wheatley's poetry, particularly her ode to His Excellency President Washington, was received with great approbation by him, and knows that I was not so agreeable. Well, madam, I wish you to know I was not unagreeable to her poetry. I was rather questioning of her ability to write the poems that were ascribed to her. I felt that they might be ghost-written in order to suggest that she was so capable. Oh, not to deny that she might be capable had she has the knowledge of English prosody and the capability, having already written many poems or having written prose. But that was my question, not a denial, if you will, of the poetry itself.